Now that we've had more time to look over Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War multiplayer and listen to community reactions, it's time to round up the biggest differences between Cold War and Modern Warfare and say which one we feel might have the advantage right now. Let's start by talking about movement. There's already been a bit of controversy around movement in Cold War after the multiplayer reveal. Pro players who got their hands on the game already lobbied for greater penalties around slide canceling, which can be abused to aim faster and sprint longer than other players. There are also some huge questions still in the air around which systems will go into Warzone. For example, if it sticks with Modern Warfare mechanics and not Cold War's, then Cold War players will have to develop two completely different sets of muscle memory going between modes. With that in mind, let's dig a little bit deeper into movement. For starters, Cold War doesn't have the tactical sprint from Modern Warfare, where you're able to gain a speed boost to cover large areas of ground while holding your gun up in the air. Instead, Cold War has a system where you always get an initial boost of speed, then quickly settle into normal run speed. This should allow you to quickly duck behind nearby cover like Modern Warfare, but you won't be able to cover those large patches of ground. Speaking of running into things, there doesn't seem to be doors in Cold War. I'm not sure how much you realize you're used to doors in Modern Warfare. Doors are everywhere in Modern Warfare, and you use them for cover, to set up ambushes, to listen for enemy players entering buildings. We're honestly going to miss not having them in Cold War, and probably also going to slide into a lot of unusable doors for a long time. Next up, swimming. It's back, and honestly, it's about time. It's been very strange avoiding the water in Modern Warfare. Just an all-around good addition in Cold War. When it comes to jumping, Cold War has what they're calling a classic jump. It seems to involve a fast takeoff with a slowdown penalty on landing to avoid abuse. Modern Warfare has a different system, where if you jump rapidly, the jumps get shorter and shorter and shorter. When it comes to maps though, Modern Warfare has these really clever map routes with unexpected places to jump and mantle to. So far we've only seen more controlled routes, like zip lines and fast ropes from Cold War. When it comes to the slide, Cold War has a pretty fast slide that players could abuse in the alpha, and that's already sort of being addressed. As it stands, Cold War does not appear to have executions, which are honestly pretty rare to see in Modern Warfare, but so satisfying when you pull them off. It's something that we'll miss in core multiplayer, but we're assuming will still be in the shared Warzone mode. Finally, let's talk about feel. We're not exactly comparing apples to apples here, since Cold War is an alpha and Modern Warfare has been out for over a year now. But we can't shake the feeling that Cold War just feels a little stiffer, maybe even like a step back in how players move and interact with their environment. We'll just have to stay tuned on this one. Alright, so now let's talk about gunplay and loadouts. So far, gunplay and loadouts are a mixed bag of improvements and maybe setbacks to Modern Warfare. Starting with feelings. The recoil in Cold War seems to be more in line with Black Ops 4 than Modern Warfare. It leans towards less recoil and more control. That probably means you can more easily use a wider range of weapons, but at the expense of individual guns having that unique feel they do in Modern Warfare. The create a class system in Cold War does seem very similar to Modern Warfare, with slightly fewer gun attachments by default. It also brings back the wildcard system, which means you can bring your guns in line with the number of attachments in Modern Warfare, or do some slightly more creative builds. One place create a class is a big improvement over Modern Warfare is in how weapon attachments list specific stat changes to guns. Modern Warfare relies on pretty vague descriptions of what gun attachments do, and sometimes it's just outright confusing. For example, how suppressors in Modern Warfare do or don't interact with the minimap, compass, and UAVs. Right now we're giving a slight advantage here to Cold War. So now you got your guns built, you're going along, you're making kills. Let's talk about score streaks. Cold War will have a score streak system that does not reset when you die. Whether you like that or not is a personal preference. Some people do like kill streaks, but score streaks make low-end rewards more accessible for more people and also reward you for playing objectives. You'll still need to chain together multiple kills and objective captures to earn score streak bonuses that get the higher end and more deadly call-ins. There's also going to be counter score streaks, which is kind of a plus. Currently, Modern Warfare relies on players to manually shoot down deadly kill streaks, like Chopper Gunner. It's really a mixed bag. In some random matches, people are really good, but in other ones, they refuse to deal with it and your team gets murderized. Kill streaks in Modern Warfare really don't incentivize support playstyles, and we really like that Cold War does. Something else really cool with Cold War is it gives you the actual percentage of your contribution when you capture objectives. Now, if we could only find some way to convince random players that you only need to hold 2 of 3 objectives in domination. When it comes to other aspects of your loadout, Cold War seems to have a near identical field upgrade support gadget system to Modern Warfare. It's based on earning momentary power-ups over time. Cold War does bring back the SAM turret, which will help the average player deal with high-end score streaks better by shooting down air assets. Honestly, when it comes to building your loadouts and classes, right now, Cold War seems to have a slight advantage. Alright, so let's talk about modes. How you're going to feel about Cold War's modes probably comes down to what attracted you or didn't attract you to Modern Warfare in the first place. Modern Warfare expanded Call of Duty into more milsim territory, with less friendly weapons, much larger maps, and larger modes that included vehicles, like Ground War. If what attracted you to Modern Warfare was that it was not like Call of Duty, then Cold War might not live up to your expectations. If you're looking for more traditional Call of Duty with improvements, then Cold War's probably going to be your thing. Cold War and Modern Warfare share a lot of the traditional modes, so let's talk about the unique ones. Cold War has two in particular, VIP Escort and Combined Arms. Full disclosure, I'm more comfortable talking about Combined Arms. The Combined Arms maps shown so far are 12v12. That's against Modern Warfare's Ground War, which has 32 vs 32. The water-based naval map in Cold War called Armada is really unique and very interesting, but we're having a hard time seeing Combined Arms being as good as the larger Ground War. Could be wrong here. Player count alone doesn't mean more fun. It's about how a map directs the number of players it has. But for now, I'm going to give the larger map modes to Modern Warfare. Cold War also has VIP Escort, which is a unique mode that seems made for the CSGO crowd. Modern Warfare has a number of One Life modes that can probably go head-to-head with this one, and I think we just need to see more of this in Cold War to make a determination. Now, one interesting mode that Cold War has been teasing is called Fireteam, the first sub-mode of which will be called Dirty Bomb. In that, 10 teams of 4 compete to gather resources and arm bombs that detonate and cut off sections of the map. This sounds pretty interesting. It's like a cross between Modern Warfare Spec Ops and Warzone. As someone who has completed every Spec Ops mission in Modern Warfare, I can honestly say that it's admirable but kind of half-baked, and Cold War's take sounds much better. For now, we're going to give this one, at least in concept, to Cold War. There's so much more we could talk about, and Cold War has more reveals coming up. What are your biggest hopes and fears for Cold War right now? Are you ready to leave Modern Warfare behind? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.